Hello friend, and welcome to another one of these videos. I hope you are well, that the day treats you well, with joy, happiness, interest. I hope you are well. Today I'm going to talk about a facet of emptiness. Emptiness having many different subsets to it, at least the following: the emptiness of the self, the emptiness of time, the emptiness of views, and the topic of this video, the emptiness of phenomena. So, yes, the emptiness of phenomena. As many people who have some insight into emptiness understand, the two strands of or like the two components of our lived-in world in Buddhist philosophy, nama or name, and rupa or form, phenomena, are distinct. We name phenomena in various ways, but the names never really connect with the reality itself. They are just names we give to them, arbitrary labels, concepts, conceptualizations, meanings based on nothing but other meanings, names defined by nothing but other names. But this is not what I mean here by emptiness of phenomena. I mean here to say that that phenomena themselves are, in fact, empty, and cannot be said to objectively or really exist out there, or in here, in the body, for example. So this is another kind of layer to emptiness, not just the emptiness of views or ways of naming, ways of meaning attribution, which is a very central part of emptiness, but actually the emptiness of phenomena themselves. I will here describe two different kind of ways of contemplating or accessing or perceiving this emptiness or grasping it in practice, and how they also kind of show us the emptiness of phenomena, that they do not really have objective existence, they do not really exist out there in the world. So first of all, if one does deep impermanence practice, focusing on aniccā, impermanence, change, observing change in all the sense spheres in all the sense domains, observing change, for example, in the body, one notices that everything changes very, very rapidly indeed, so rapidly that nothing can actually be seen that changes from anything to anything. Every single moment one tries to apprehend a phenomenon, anything one could kind of take as the target of one's attention, it has already changed into something else. If one perceives this kind of change and sticks with this perception for a while, it may strike one that actually there is no phenomenon to be seen. There is only change, only becoming, and not the becoming of something becoming something else and then again something else, but rather the moment it arises, it has already passed away. Now, in that sense, nothing arises or nothing passes away. It's all in constant flux. It's a process without any kind of gaps in it. Of course, we have some kind of, there are these kind of moments of consciousness models, and it is possible for one to perceive, for example, a choppiness in one's conscious awareness. But even then, none of these kind of, single frames of experience can be apprehended, can be caught, can be really glimpsed. It's already something else, It's always changing, and in this sense one can wield impermanence, anicca, to perceive that phenomena don't actually arise, nor do they pass away. There's only arising and passing away, no phenomena that arise and pass away. This is a bit of might sound wishy-washy and might sound kind of detached from our lived-in experience, but really, if one focuses on change enough, one can perceive this, as well as observing also the emptiness of time at the same time. One can notice that there really is no past to be seen, no future to be seen, and even the present is unapprehensible again. It cannot be apprehended. It's already something else. Nothing becomes from the past to the present to the future. It's rather just a constant sheet, paper thin, feather-light and paper thin sheet of becoming. And in this constant becoming, nothing is actually perceived. It's all just change. This is one way to kind of, to perceive the emptiness of phenomena, that there is nothing really, no thing, no phenomenon is really there. Nothing can be seen. Nothing particular can be seen. Not only by view of kind of nothing that we could name, for example, that there is no camera, or there is no laptop, or there is no Santtu. Rather, like even the phenomena themselves are so ephemeral as to be unapprehensible and cannot be seen, cannot really be grasped. They are nowhere to be found in that flow of change. Another kind of way to approach the emptiness of phenomena is by way of noticing that the mind creates phenomena. We can find support for this kind of view. Many, for example, can already have something against this view, although it's much more potent if one kind of really meditates on it and contemplates it. But many people informed by, for example, contemporary cognitive science or neurology and so on might already have this view. This like that the reality, lived in reality we experience, is a kind of mind-created simulation of something perhaps beyond. I mean, I at least believe there is something beyond, because I believe in other beings. And by beings I don't mean selves or persons. No person can be found, no self can be found. But mind streams, streams of experience, streams of appearance. Different becomings, in some sense. There's something beyond, and perhaps our experience in some sense simulates parts of that. But in any case, the simulation itself is empty. It's mind created. We can see this, of course, in our own experience, in how very malleable experience is. Either in meditative practice, where one, for example, can evoke certain emotions like metta and so on, or in the way that attention to an object changes it. Attention to a pain, for example, can either make it stronger or sometimes can make it grow lesser, but it has some effect. The movements of our mind affect phenomena. So they're malleable. That's a hint to them being created by the mind. Another hint is that we all actually, like whenever we go to sleep, when we go to sleep, the mind-body organism, the mind stream, switches off the senses. It switches off those phenomena, and it kind of, it creates another kind of world, our dream world, our private dream, so to say, if the external reality in some sense could be seen perhaps, a little bit fancifully, as a shared dream. Every night, whenever we go to sleep, our mind-body composite, our mind stream switches off phenomena. And also in, for example, experience of nirodha, or like cessation, where like all phenomena are completely extinguished momentarily, or even in just kind of fading of perception on a lighter level. When, for example, in deep samadhi, the body sense might start disappearing, sounds might start disappearing, and so on. We notice that phenomena are mind dependent. If the mind can switch them off, when it basically wants to, so when it steps into sleep, or when it steps into nirodha, or that they can fade when the mind basically in some sense wants them to fade, or is, in other words, so uninterested in them, so detached from them that their fabrication starts defabricating. This means that they're mind dependent, and if they're mind dependent, they are not, so to say, really there. We usually what we mean when we say that something is really there, is that, for example, if there was someone sitting next to me, we would say that they might see the same camera. They would agree with me that there's a camera there on top of the laptop, and there's a laptop, and they would agree that there's a human here, for example, or there's something here, like an animal or whatever. Again, depends on the naming, the empty naming, and so on. But we would agree, that we, in some sense, perceive the same things. Whereas if I see the famous pink elephant running around the streets, and others don't, we would say it's not really there, because it's just dependent on my mind. But ultimately, all phenomena are like this. They're all dependent on our minds. There might be something beyond it, and there's something that makes different mind streams, in some sense, or like manifest agreement, we could say, or at least it seems so, on the contents of external reality, or what kind of phenomena are experienced. But of course we can never, as in very kind of a very common philosophical intuition or like an insight is that, you know, we have no idea whether, for example, or I have no idea whether you see the color blue the same way as I do, or whether colors for you, they might be, for example, inverted, you know, in thought experiments of so-called inverted qualia in contemporary Western philosophy of mind. Your color scheme might be inverted so that the different colors have the same relations to each other, but they are you know, literally inverted. You would see, you know, where I see blue, you would see something like red or something, you know, like, or what I would perceive as red, or whatever else, you know. The different mind streams are alien to each other, how they experience things. All we have is just verbal explicit agreement, and this is a relational thing in some sense. But the phenomena themselves are mind created, they're mind dependent, and thereby would say they are not really there. They don't objectively exist, because their whole existence is based on a subjective activity of the mind stream. They're only there subjectively, and in this sense they are completely empty. So not only are they constantly changing, and in that sense empty, no particular phenomenon can be seen, no particular phenomenon can be apprehended, they are altogether not objectively real. And this can be a pretty valuable practice, actually, to cultivate this kind of perception. One can wield this like a brief analytical argument, for example, in meditation. Basically, describe to oneself, or say to oneself, notice, recognize, with whatever conviction one has, that because the phenomena are mind-dependent and they can be switched off when the mind stream steps into sleep, for example, or they can be affected by, let's say, meditation or, for example, psychoactive substances like hallucinogens and so on. They are not really there. They are mind-dependent, so they are not really there. And one can kind of, in that sense, deny reality to them. One can actively deny reality to them. And this can lead to pretty interesting states of detachment. It can promote quite good, insight into emptiness, because as one denies the reality of phenomena, based on this argument, for example, this analytical argument, often some level of fading of perception can set in, especially if one carries on with the contemplation for a while. And this fading of perception, of course, serves as another kind of instance, another kind of proof in that case, in the case of the meditation, in circumstance where the mind is primed already to notice it and to give it its proper importance. It notices that, things fade. So yes, they are actually mind dependent. They are not really there. No phenomena actually, in that sense, really exist. They are always mind dependent. In that sense, they are always hallucinations, and they are empty. Not only do they mean nothing objectively, at least in the ways humans use the word meaning, the ways humans perceive meaning in them. I do not mean to say, by the way, and this is something I will elucidate in a later video, I do not mean to say that things are meaningless, because that's also an attribution of meaning. It's an attribution of no meaning. But things are, as such, they are beyond names. They are beyond meaning. They neither have meaning nor no meaning in themselves. Naming is a separate thing of its own entirely. But not only are things nameless, signless, and so on, they are also not really there. Phenomena are not really there. Here too, I would be hesitant to say that they are non-existent. I mean, this is something one can wield in practice. One can, in the emptiness contemplation, one can kind of promote the view that, that they don't exist. Nothing really exists, and so on. And that can promote the detachment, and thus the fading of perception, and thus the fuel back into the efficacy of the meditation or the contemplation. But I do not mean to really say that the phenomena don't exist. Of course, something appears, but that appearance is not really there. It's not objective, so it doesn't really exist. But that doesn't mean it does not exist either. It's beyond existence and non-existence. These words are not applicable to phenomena, existence and non-existence. They in some sense exist. Like one way one could put it is that they exist as appearance, but not as reality, or something like that. But these are two, of course, words. In any case, phenomena are mind-dependent, and thereby they cannot be said to really really be there, not objectively there. They exist only based on the subjective activities of the mind stream, and thus they are tantamount to hallucinations or a dream. It's basically a dream, and in this way they are completely empty. Now, phenomena too are empty. So here are like two ways one can approach the emptiness of phenomena. Focusing on change and impermanence and seeing that everything moves so fast, everything is in such a flux, such a flow of becoming, that no phenomena can be apprehended. Nothing, no thing, no phenomenon can be seen. It's all already gone. And another one is to notice that everything is mind dependent and thereby not really there and thereby empty. Both ways are valuable, and there is, even though I would feel that the emptiness of phenomena is not quite as liberating as the emptiness of the self, which occupies is really the keystone of suffering views. The emptiness of views is also very, very important, of course, but self is the kind of the keystone of suffering views. But phenomena too, can occur, and most often occur in suffering views. Suffering ways of looking, suffering ways of experiencing. So there's great value in emptiness of phenomena, and especially in the Tibetan tradition, it's for example, the great systematizers of Dzogchen, Longchen Rajampa, he basically advocates one to view this life constantly as a dream, as unreal, and that is both promotes equanimity, it promotes detachment, and in that sense it's liberating, but it can also have an effect on our views, those suffering views resting on a kind of reification or a seeing real of phenomena. There could be much more to be said on emptiness in general, and even on the emptiness of phenomena and how it can be applied, but I leave this video here. And I hope this brief kind of description of the emptiness of phenomena is interesting to you, or palatable, or arouses your interest for further study, for example. And I thank you for your attention, and I wish you all the best in your future endeavors, and a happy day. Be well.